Hi, it's me, Daphne, and welcome back to my channel where I'm going to be talking to you today about the best books I read in 2025. So I had an interesting-ish reading year because when I look back on some of these books, I'm like, oh, maybe a little bit surprised on the things that are on here, but like I still stand by them. So I have a mix of 5-star reads and a few 4.5-star reads because I don't give out that many 5 stars. And we have a total of 10 books I'm going to talk to you about. So let's dive in. So the first book I gave 5 stars in 2025, surprisingly, was Fourth Wing. Okay, now, don't click off if you're not a romantasy reader. I'm really not a romantasy reader either. Is this a perfect book? No, but I was like really in the hype of it all because Onyx Storm had come out. I did like spoiler vlogs for all 3 books. I was catching up on the series. I had never read Fourth Wing. And it was just like fun to be in that moment with everybody. And I'm like shocked this was in 2025 because it felt like 50 years ago that I read this book. I have the special edition. I think I got this off Amazon. Limited holiday edition. So yeah, it's got like the black sprayed edges. So I was like, ooh, I have a special edition. I was like really excited to be just like in the thick of it with the trend and like the hype. It is a romantasy about a dragon fighting academy situation, and people have like magical abilities when they sync up with their dragon or something. I don't super remember the details, to be honest. I know there's like Shadow Daddy, and then like our main girl has some powers or something. I don't remember everything. Like there's like fire powers or something. Some people have like everybody. There's like a broad range of powers. And it was a fun time. This first one, I think, is the best out of the 3. I think the second book, Iron Flame, was all right. And then I think Onyx Storm brought some cool elements back in and was maybe sort of like answering some questions, but it also like opened a lot more questions than they answered. We'll see how the series goes. It's one of those things with romantasy series where like I don't fully trust the author to have everything laid out, like thoroughly planned out for the conclusion of the entire series, and sometimes it just feels like we're just figuring it out as we go, which I don't like. But this was a fun time when I read it, so enough said. The next book I gave 5 stars in 2025 I think was a reread for the year. Usually I write down if something was a reread. I've definitely read this book twice though. I think this might have been a reread. And I still gave it 5 stars. And it's Under Lock by Mariana Zapata. I have been doing a backlist catch-up of all her books. This one is just so fun. So this book is about a young woman who has a little bit of a complicated past. Her mom recently passed and she doesn't have a relationship with her father, but her father was a part of like this motorcycle group. So she goes back to his hometown to be with her half-brother who's in the same motorcycle group that her dad used to be a part of. She gets a job at a tattoo shop with one of the brothers' like motorcycle group friends, and it's the romance between her and the guy that owns the tattoo shop. And it's just like there's just something about their dynamic. Honestly, reading it a second time was interesting because there were things that I remembered incorrectly. Because like I thought he was a little bit more like assertive and like whatever, and he is very broody, which I liked, and he's definitely pining after her secretly. And the way Mariana Zapata writes books, you only get the one perspective, so you're getting little breadcrumbs of the love interests like true attraction, but you're like not sure. So it's like that fun feeling when you're falling in love with someone, you're like, oh, do they like me? Like you're not sure because you're not in that character's head. He was a lot sweeter in my opinion when I read it for the second time, and just like very patient and gentle with her, and I was like, I ate it up. Would highly recommend out of Mariana Zapata's collection. A set of mangas that I read that, again, felt like forever ago that I read. Like I forgot that I read them in 2025. This was also back when I was still living in Fidei in Manhattan. So I've moved, so it feels like a totally different life back then. But it's volumes 5 and 6 of Sweat and Soap. And this is just like a really cute Japanese manga adult romance series. I kind of want to like reread them all again. I think there's a box set of like 7 through maybe 12. Volume 7 through 11. Yeah, actually, How much is this? $42. It's on sale, 35% off. Should I just buy it right now? Is that a good decision? I'm gonna wait. Only because I've spent a lot in January for like baby prep stuff. But yeah, these were super cute. So this manga series is about this guy who is like a scent expert at basically the equivalent of like Johnson & Johnson. So he helps with the scents for like soap collections, lotions, maybe some like body mists, like that kind of stuff. And she works at the same company, but she's more in the finance department. So they're not like really working together. But she walks by him one day when she's like having a great day. She's just like so excited about the new collection. She loves all their products. She's like super happy. He smells her and he's like, oh my God, you smell delicious. And he's like inspired by her. She becomes like his muse, and then they fall in love, and you see their relationship evolve beyond just the like, oh, I love you, that's the end. It's the I love you, how do we make this work, moving in together as you go through the series. And it's just so sweet. I love it. I would recommend for sure. This next book I talked a lot about in 2025, and I have a special dedicated reading vlog to it, and that is The City We Became. I annotated it. I read it for my book club. I did a whole video like touring around New York City because this book takes place in New York City, so I went to a lot of the locations mentioned in the book in real life, which is super fun. So I will link that video up above and in the description if you want to check it out. It's one of my favorite videos that I filmed. It took me a really long time, and it was like a labor of love, and I'm really proud of it. This is by N.K. Jemisin. She is a really amazing Black author, and I just thought this book was just absolutely stunning, so creative. The lines in it are just amazing. I highlighted this one section right here, and I'm like, fuck yeah. So, and I think just the fact that I've lived in New York City for multiple years and I'm like very familiar with the city, it just hit that much more for me. I will say the second book out of the duology I liked less, but I know she had a little bit of trouble wrapping it up. Originally it was supposed to be a trilogy, I think with like the political climate, and then COVID hit and like things were changing so quickly in real life that it was like hard to be in this tough world where there's a lot of political stuff going on and like prejudice, suppression, and like all these things. It feels very real while at the same time being an urban fantasy. I think I was reading book 2 kind of looking for answers to my like the real world problems that exist now in America, and it's just not going to answer those questions for us, because like what is the solution when things are so bad? In general, it is about the boroughs of New York coming to life. So we have these avatars that are like literal people. They were normal people, and then one day they just wake up and they're like, or like they just like come to and they are a borough. Then this next book I don't physically have, even though I own a physical copy because I loaned it out to my mother, is Pachinko. And I'd say this was my absolute favorite book of 2025. I cried. I thought the writing was so beautiful. So this story is about a Korean woman who falls pregnant by the wrong guy. She thought he loved her. She thought she'd make a life with him. Turns out he already had a separate family. She comes across this other man. I think he was also Korean, but he was living in Japan, visiting back in Korea. And he's like a priest. He's like a Christian priest. And he offers to marry her to help, you know, with her unborn child because she would be ostracized. This takes place around like World War I, World War II, because it's like a bit of a family saga. They move to Japan, and it's about like the prejudice that the Koreans faced in Japan and how it was really hard for them to move up in society because of like the prejudice against them. And it's just interesting also like knowing American culture and being African American and like seeing how people of color struggle at times in this country, and then see that reflected in an Asian country where like at least to an American, like an untrained eye, like you don't like visually look very different, but they made sure you knew who was who. You know what I mean? Like you could there would be generations of Koreans born in Japan, but they would never be considered like citizens of the country. So yeah, it was a very interesting read. Hopefully I said that in a way that's not offensive. But yeah, and then also the The discussions about shame were like really heavy, and I think that's still like a really big thing in Japanese culture. And that was just heartbreaking. There were topics of queerness between some of the characters. So yeah, it just had a lot to it. And pachinko, which is a gambling game, tied the family over the generations together for reasons that become clear as you read the story. And then I traveled to Japan with my husband, my mother, and my grandmother this past summer, and I got to go into a pachinko parlor. I just like popped in to see what it was because I'd never seen a pachinko machine. And it's basically like playing slots. Like people are sitting down at machines, but there's these tiny little like silver balls like falling down, and it's very, very noisy. It's just like waterfall little balls. And I have no idea how you play, and I have no idea how you win, but I was very overstimulated. But it was cool to see that in person. And is still obviously a thing. The last 5-star that I'll quickly mention is another manga type thing. It's like one of those Korean like swipe up type mangas that I read on Webtoons, and it's called The Friend Complex. It's just a cute like college romance between two people that grew up together. They've got like this like butting heads kind of relationship. They're falling in love, and it's just cute and sweet. And I think they have another season finally released since I read it. So I should probably check that out again. Now let's quickly talk about the 4.5 stars I read in 2025. So the first 4.5 star book I read in 2025 was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This is book number 6. This really explained a lot of like the Voldemort lore and the Snape lore a lot better. And I had the most questions about that coming from the movies, because I feel like in the movies I didn't really remember 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 2 very well. So this, I just felt like I got so much of like the true canon information from the Harry Potter series. So love that for me. Then I was reading the Red Rising series with my friend Sam, and I ended up giving Morningstar book 3 4.5. I just remember crying really like hard reading that book because you get so attached to the characters, and it's a dangerous world. There's a lot of like fighting and war and political drama and betrayal. I just thought that book was so strong in the series. It is a fantasy sci-fi series. It's not like hard on the science. It's mostly fantasy in space. It's about people who are suppressed in this hierarchical color class system, trying to break the mold and free people and show them the truth and like defeat their oppressors and all that stuff. So yeah, I thought book 3 was really, really strong. I also read book 4 in 2025, but really struggled with that one and didn't read it very well. And then the second to last book I want to talk about is The Highwayman, which is a historical romance. From what I remember, this is about a couple who knew each other when they were young. They like met in an orphanage when they were children. They like kind of protected each other and were there for each other, and they like married each other when they were little. And then something horrible and traumatic happens, and they get separated, and the little boy goes to like prison, and he thinks the little girl is dead, but she's not. She's like got a new identity, and it's them kind of coming back together, but there's a little bit of confusion because he's changed his identity as well, and she doesn't recognize him as the little boy that he was, but like he knows who she is, and la 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 la, and it was a pretty fun time. The last book I'm going to talk about for my best books of 2025 that I gave 4.5 stars, nearly 5 stars, is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. So I've known about this series for a long, long time. I bought this edition and Keeping 13 in Ireland when I was there for work, probably 2-3 years ago at this point. 3 years ago, I think, at this point. And I finally picked them up around the end of the year. This book really surprised me. I was nervous because I knew it took place with young characters, like in that high school age range. So she's like 15, turning 16. She's 16 for parts of it too. And then we have our main character, Johnny, who is 17. Her name's Shannon. I remember these very well. This is a chunky book, so I better remember their names. And the second book is about them as well. So I spent a lot of time with these two characters. Shannon is from a very tumultuous home situation. Her dad is a drunk and he's very abusive, and he is physically violent to the children and the mother. She's been getting bullied at school, so she moves to this new school called Toman, and she meets Johnny, who is a star rugby player at the school, and he like does like club rugby and is like very sought after, and like the scouts are watching him for like professional leagues and all this stuff. So he's very focused on that, but when he meets her, it like throws him completely off kilter, and he's trying to resist falling in love with her. And it's that story. It's just like really heavy, but also, you know, you have fun moments because they're young kids, and you see the sweetness of first love, and you get the drama of the hardships that she's going through. So it had so many interesting elements to keep me turning pages. And yeah, I just thought this book was really well done. So enjoyed it and would definitely recommend this series, but like you may want to check trigger warnings. And honestly, keeping 13 was like way more triggering. That's probably why I didn't rate it as high as this one. Still enjoyed them as a set. And I'm really excited to jump into her brother's story with Aoife. His name was Joey. So the third one is going to be Joey and Aoife. And you kind of know where their story goes, but there's still things that need to happen. But they get 2 books. You're going to get like their history when they're younger and all that stuff. So I kind of started it, but whatever. But this one, really, really strong. Would recommend the series in general. All right, so that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it, and obviously it helps out my channel. And I will catch you in another video. Bye!